Hello, hello, hello. I'm Devin Mullen here with Music is Art for our Eighth Note sessions, and I'm here today with Philip Stephen to talk about his most recent EP release, Dead Town. Hey Phil, how you doing?
Hello, Devin. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this EP? I really enjoyed it, but I'd love to hear it in your words.
Sure. So, Dead Town came out earlier this month. It's five songs, uh, it's particularly minimalistic acoustic performances. It's 15 minutes long, which is the perfect amount of time to invest. Is no longer than that. Uh,
Was that a conscious decision to make it
it
15
was it
minutes?
was just kind of a lucky choice, but I will say I've been listening to this girl Tierra Whack, and her album Whack World is exactly 15 minutes long. It's 15 1 minute long vignettes, and I did think when that came out, like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea. Make it exactly 15 minutes.
Love
Maybe
it.
I did it subconsciously.
So listening to this record, I found a lot of resonance with it, being sort of trapped in the house with lockdown, growing up in a Rust Belt city. What was on your mind when you were writing some of these songs?
They all come from uh, different circumstances in my own life, but seemingly there is this small town, desperation that seems to be a current that runs through these songs, which is why I picked these five to put together. Um, just that feeling of being in the heartland of America, but also having that yearning to get out, and that old feeling of trying to get out of this town and find a better life.
And I think you delve into that sort of umbrella in a really nice way here because a lot of your songs they feature almost like paintings, but these portraits of different characters, and you're sort of an outside observer onto it, I suppose. Um, like tell us about the song "Roadside Warrior."
Roadside Warrior is your quintessential hobo folk song, right? But I wanted to paint a character that maybe was a little bit more of an anti-hero, uh,
That vibe, yeah.
viewing this guy as somebody who really has succeeded at living on the outskirts of life, and kind of examining the reasons of how somebody might end up in that lifestyle. Personally, I know a handful of people who decided to be transient punks and walk across the country, and they had the time of their lives, and it was a positive experience. So I kind of wanted to kind of showcase that. You look at somebody who's clearly transient, having a hard go of it, and you automatically think it must be drugs or alcohol or some bad choices, but it could just be somebody having like a fun walk.
Well, it's an interesting subversion of the title, isn't it, of Dead Town? Because I think it's you can talk about the Rust Belt however you want. You can talk about it like it's this sort of desiccated husk of fallen industry, and this, that, and the other. But what really is clear throughout this is that there is life, and there are people, and things are still happening, and it might not be pretty, it might not even be safe, but it's life, and we have to embrace it as
Right.
actually being there.
Right. And that's the essence of calling it Roadside Warrior. I think that's the first like chunk of words that came to me when starting to write that song. And it sounds like a weird way to phrase it, but I do think it is kind of the perfect way to describe somebody that is out there. They're destitute, but they're a warrior, right? Like they're
Oh, you gotta
making
be
the best of
tough.
it.
You gotta be
Yeah,
very tough.
right.
Well, certainly. So where can we listen to this? Where is it available?
Uh, this is available on Spotify, Apple Music, available to download on Bandcamp, anywhere that you'd prefer to find it.
Beautiful. And under Philip Stephen?
Philip Steven, there's a PH in my first name and my last name.
I'll trip you up. All
Yeah.
right. So I'm Devin Mullen. This has been our Eighth Note Sessions Thursday edition. This has been Philip Stephen. Thanks for joining us.